Hi everyone, I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You, and I'm your host of the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Here's where we talk about the connection between creativity and healing by interviewing amazing creatives, spectacular healers, and inspiring people who have used creativity in their healing. What does it mean to be creative? What is creativity? You don't have to write a best-selling book or paint a masterpiece or even play in a rock band. Creativity is in everything that we do, in the ways we think, in the way we run a business. In our everyday lives, we are creative all the time. Let's talk about how we are creative and how creativity helps us heal mentally, physically, and emotionally, right now on the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Hi everyone, I'm Larissa Russell of Creative You. Welcome to the Creative Soul Healing Podcast. Today I have with me Andrea Gomoll. Andrea was one of our presenters for the Loving, Healing, Creating Summit that we ran February 2nd through 14th. And we absolutely loved having her. You can still get access to that summit at www.creativeyou.ca. So Andrea is an artist from Berlin, Germany, where she lives with her husband Thomas and 3 crazy cats. She studied design in Berlin and started her own business as an artist, art instructor, and designer in 2009, sharing her love and passion for everything creative with the world ever since. Andrea is a multifaceted artist, loving whimsical, colorful illustrations that nurture her inner child as well as more realistic everyday sketches and paintings. Andrea's art always reflects her mood and her life, and since life is never following a single straight road, neither does her art. Watercolors are her media of a choice, and she loves mixing them with other media to create cheerful, colorful pieces. Being creative is essential to her. It helps through the rough days and makes the good days even better. Art can help in so many ways. It has a positive impact on your life and on your well-being. And she loves to inspire, teach, and enable others to play, have fun creating, and to discover the artist within, just waiting to be nurtured. So welcome, Andrea.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Can you share some of your story and your path that's brought you here?
Yeah, well, actually, you summed it up pretty well already. I always used to be creative. I always loved creating, even as a child. This kind of brought me to this career path as well, studying design after I finished school. And then I worked in an advertising agency, and I was actually hoping that this would be like my dream job, doing something creative in my life. But yeah, very soon I realized that in design school, as well as working in that advertising agency later on, that you can't really be as creative as I was hoping to be. You were kind of forced into that pattern. You were forced into current trends, and you were kind of forced into the expectation of customers in general. You know, people were coming to you and asking you to design something, but most of them had a very clear thing in mind how they wanted it to look. So in the end, it felt more like a pressure, and it was kind of really cutting down my creativity. I was more like an executor, so executing, doing the things, but not really able to put myself into it and to be creative in the end. So over the years, I've been working there for 9 years. More and more, it was more draining for me than fulfilling. So actually not at all what I was hoping for. I just realized it's not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And lucky enough, I already started in, I think it was 2006, to have my own business alongside being in that advertising agency. I was self-publishing a scrapbook magazine back then because there was no scrapbook magazine available in Germany or in the German language area back then. So I did that for 5 years, quarterly, and it went very, very well. So it kind of led me into that, or it kind of paved the road that I wanted to take. I realized that there I could do what I wanted to do. I was not like pressed into patterns, but I could do or express and bring to the people what I wanted to share. So that kind of was like the starting point. And then I kind of added in photography, because in design school we also have that branch of photography. So I kind of founded my own photography business, doing studio photography for a couple of years, and as well as wedding photography. And the wedding photography kind of really took off very fast, and it was like, how do you say, it went from 0 to up to 100, and I realized that I can't do it all anymore. Like working then at advertising agency, doing the wedding photography, doing the editing, all of this was I was like close to a burnout at that point, and I realized, okay, now I build all of this for myself alongside, and now is the time to really just jump. So I just took the leap and quit my job in that advertising agency and continued with the wedding photography, which I really loved, but it is asking a lot of you over the years, you know, especially during the spring and summer and autumn month. You're on the go every weekend, you're editing all week long, and you almost don't have time for friends, for family. You don't have a private life anymore because you have to give just so much. And also it was kind of draining for me because I'm an introvert. So being a wedding photographer and kind of performing in front of hundreds of people, like directing them and telling them what to do and just doing my thing, was very, very draining for me. So at the same time, and so alongside, again, I kind of seem to always take several paths at the same time. That's maybe part of my personality. Alongside that, again, I've always been doing art, and I started to get more interested in like the artsy process. So again, I came from more like a paper crafter background, and then really went more and more into journaling, art journaling, drawing, painting, mixed media. And that, one thing led to another again, and I started to bring my first online class to life, and that went very, very well. And over the years, again, I realized that this is actually what I really wanted. And I really feel at home here now, where I am in my life right now. So kind of all those different things that I did kind of paved the way to where I am now. And right now I'm like super happy with what I do. Who knows? Ask me again in 1 year, in 2 years. I don't know. Again, I'm a typical Gemini, and I always have new things that I'm interested in, that I'm passionate about. But I guess that's every road that I took kind of led to that point. So now I'm fully, so again, I stopped the wedding photography 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, and I'm fully living the life as an artist, as a creative entrepreneur, and sharing my art through my classes, through live classes, through online classes. I have several like products, printables, digital products, as well as physical products, stamps, that I do sell. And yeah, I just totally love it. And I also have always been into spirituality and this like well-being, healing part. I've always been interested in that. Even as a child, my great-grandmother, she was a healer. She could like in Germany we say put hands on things and make it go away. There's no other way to explain it. But and even as a child, I was totally fascinated by that. And it kind of felt, for many years, I kind of just pushed that away because, you know, when you're a teenager and then later on, there's so many things going on in your life. But over the last years, I felt all of those things creeping back in, and I felt that urgent call to also dedicate myself more to that again. And now bringing all this together, it took a while for me to realize that it is possible to kind of bring it all together, because my rational mind told me, oh no, now you're again interested in other things, jumping. But it goes so well together. It perfectly like enhances each other, like the spiritual path and healing, well-being, and the creativity. So all like under one umbrella. And that makes me really, really happy with where I am now, and to be able to share this with others and to make a difference in the life of others. Yeah, so I guess that's it in a nutshell, in a big nutshell.
That's an amazing journey that you've been on, and it leads us right into my next question of what does healing with creativity mean to you?
For me, actually, it is the most healing power for me is in the creative process, actually. So it's not about the outcome, about creating art, because if you ask me, I think the word art is such a big thing, and people have so many expectations from the word art. If you ask people what is art, most of them will tell you like the huge paintings that are hanging in galleries and museums. And so because of this, if you ask people if they are an artist, if they can create art, most of them will tell you, no, I can't, because they have that high expectation of what art is supposed to be and about what creating and creativity is meant to be. So for me, it is really just this process. And in our lives, we have like so much going on, so much stress and anxiety, maybe even burnout, whatever it is that is going on in your everyday life. And for me, art really helps to kind of break that downwards spiral, because you, on the one hand, it can give you that peace and that stillness, because you're fully kind of engaged in the process of creation, no matter what you do. Even if you're just taking a brush and slapping some paint on paper, that is perfectly fine. That's even better than trying very hard to create something beautiful. So first of all this, and second of all, what I love about the creative process, if you really dare to step into it, is that you can bring all those feelings, all those emotions. You can bring the light and the shadow. You can bring everything into your creative process. And that's another thing that I love, because in our modern society, we are always taught to kind of, how do you say, in Germany we have an idiom, like leave the feelings and the emotions at the doorstep. Mm-hmm. Especially in business, and you have to function, you have to be an adult, you have to, emotions don't have any room in this functional life. And I think in art and in creation, you don't have to leave that out. You can actually bring all of this in, and it makes it even more more meaningful. And it can just really help you to work through all of those feelings and emotions, no matter if it's painting, drawing, or art journaling, or just plain journaling with a pen. It helps you to kind of bring the thoughts down onto paper, so makes them or brings them into the physical realm, actually, and at the same time helps you to kind of clear your mind. It just helps you to embrace the current moment while you're creating. And for me, it's almost like a creative way of meditation, sort of. And that's what healing through creativity means to me, because for me, this process actually is healing if you fully allow yourself to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. I fully agree that all creativity is healing, and the more you can put, purpose to it, the more intense it can actually be. So yeah. And do you think there's a driving force that inspires you?
I think the driving force is, again, that I hear so many people, it kind of hurts me when I hear people say that I'm not creative, I can't create something. So often I hear people like, I can only draw a stick figure. And then they're kind of in shock when I go, that's perfect. Bring that stick figure down onto the page and use it as like a starting point, and then see where your intuition takes you. Because actually it doesn't take more than a stick figure to start the creative process. And again, that's my driving force to inspire or to enable people to really allow themselves to create. Because in our society, even in the very early years, even back in school, we are told like, maybe that's not your talent, you're not really good at this and that in art classes. And this negative toxic mindset is kind of implanted into our brains at a very early stage, and then later we kind of keep that all through our lives. I'm not creative, I can't create, I can't paint, I can't draw, done. But for me, again, if they really discover that the process itself is just so brings or adds so much value to your life. And again, not worrying about the outcome, not worrying if it's a perfect piece of art that you're creating, but fully enjoying that process. And then when I teach in online classes, of course, you don't get that instant feedback. You get, of course, you get feedback from students, but that's what I love about live classes. Because in the beginning, I always tend to ask the people what they would say, where they are on their art journey, what they've done so far. And most of them really are very intimidated and kind of belittle themselves. And then, I'm not creative, I can't paint, I can't draw, I can't do this. And for me, the best driving force and the force that kind of wants me to do this again and again, and that shows me that I'm on the right way with that, is when in the end, after the class is over, or even during the class, you can see in the faces that something changes, that people actually start to enjoy the process and enjoy the journey. And in the end, when they say, oh my gosh, I did that, I can't believe I did that, I never thought I could do this, this is just so rewarding. That's the best reward for me. It's even giving me like chills right now, because they actually, maybe even for the first time in their lives, they realize, well, maybe I'm not that uncreative. Is that a word, uncreative? As I thought I am. And once I realized that it's all about the process and not about, again, creating that perfect piece of art each and every time, it just adds an aspect to their lives. And that's what is really driving me and pushing me to do it again and again, and to share this with the world. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Would you say there's a past pain that's informed your life purpose?
As I mentioned before, that I'm actually a very introvert person, and I kind of, for many years, I always denied that. I always kind of worked against that personality. I pushed myself day by day to be outgoing, to be there 100% in full force, and not kind of allowing this introvert actually, or to giving it what it actually needs, because it just needs some downtime. It just needs this time to step away from things. So over the years, I kind of really, it started to go into like an anxiety, a strong form of anxiety. I was diagnosed with, I'm not sure if that's the English word for it as well, generalized anxiety disorder. Yeah. And it was pretty rough, actually. I guess that's even the first time that I'm talking about that, because I'm always trying to be that shiny person. I usually don't carry those things outside. Only lately I started to share or talk about this as well, because it's part of me, and I always tend to be, or try to be, as authentic as possible, and that's part of me. And lately I just realized that it's absolutely okay, and there are many people who are at that point. So maybe it's even like helpful to share that I'm not only that shiny person who is, everything's fine, everything's great, always smiling. Yeah, and that anxiety actually kind of was what kind of made me get started in the more artistic part, and really like just playing and experiencing, and without expectations to the outcome. Because again, in design school, in that advertising agency, it was all about the outcome, right? You wanted to, or you had to 100% please the customer at the end of the day. And then I really realized that it's not about the outcome, that it's about the feeling that you get and what it can really add to your life. And I found that for me, this was a very, very good coping strategy. Do you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just totally helped me to get my mind off things, to just not really fight that anxiety, but to just sit with it and see what it really is right now and what I'm feeling, and to kind of bring this into something else, to kind of put this into the creative process. And that helped me a lot. And it was kind of life-changing when I realized that it really has an influence. And I love meditation, but I've never been that person who can, especially if I have if I suffer from anxiety, to just sit still and be fully there, because it can be like overpowering, overwhelming, too much. And with a creative process, it's kind of like a good middle way. You're still kind of doing something to kind of get your mind off of things a little, but at the same time, it's like a meditative process. And when I realized that this is very, very helpful, I think you could say that this is what kind of brought me into expressing myself in an intuitive and kind of way. I think you get the idea.
Absolutely.
Get hung up in my thoughts, like translating in my brain at the same time and thinking, and sometimes it's very well.
No, you did very well. You did very well.
Okay, perfect.
And I completely agree. And that's one of the things that I teach as well, is about sort of that meditative process of creating, right? It's the process of creating, not the finished product.
Yeah,
and so,
exactly.
I very much agree with that. So, what would you say is your favorite creative healing modality for yourself?
Mm-hmm. For myself, well, actually, what I mentioned before, like the creation process, journaling, art journaling. I have several like journals, which are really only personal journals. I don't do any like creation in there, except for like pouring my words, my thoughts out onto the paper. So it's just really writing like a diary. And then the next step, actually, what I love is this art journaling process, where I kind of start to like bring my thoughts and feelings into like a visual way, give them like a visual appearance. And painting, drawing in general, all of the things that kind of help you through art, through creativity. But I also love crystal healing. I'm totally into crystal healing. For example, I love Shinrin Yoku, so forest bathing. Totally enjoy being out in nature and letting nature like calm me down and inspire me. That's another thing that I really, really enjoy. Aromatherapy. I love to work with essential oils and intuitive card readings, so oracle cards, tarot cards. So all different assets, different things that I love to work with, and I really love to kind of, again, it seems like many different separate things, but in the end you can, and I always try to bring it all together. I'm working with crystals sometimes to let them inspire my creative process. Aromatherapy, essential oils, they kind of are my best companion 24/7, and they also can like stimulate my creativity. They can help you. So for me, this kind of all also goes like hand in hand. I can pull an oracle card and use this as a jump starter for a creative process, for a project. So it kind of all goes hand in hand and links very well together.
Yeah. No, and it's almost like we're the same person. So I'm like, yes, exactly. I love that. And what would you say is your greatest accomplishment to date?
I would say in general, reaching that point where I am now. When I told you about where I came from and all the different winding roads that I took, and I even left many of them. So there have been way more. So for me, it is the greatest accomplishment to be where I am now at that point. I'm really allowing myself to share my authentic me with all the light, but also with all the shadows. I allow myself to have the spirituality go into this as well, because for many years I've been doing this, I've been interested in it, but I kind of left it as a separate thing, because sometimes you're not sure like how society reacts, like she's drawing or she's pulling tarot cards, oh my gosh, woo woo, sometimes you get that reaction, but it always kind of felt like I'm different persons. I'm that public person, I'm that wedding photographer person, I'm that person, and then I'm that person in a closet locked away, like working with crystals and incense burning. And for me it is greatest accomplishment to really allow myself to be that one person with those different aspects. And of course, just being able to do what I do for a living, to be fully into this creative business, to be able to make a living from it, out of it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And being able to reach others with what I want to share. So for me, it is really this sharing and this being able to make a difference, no matter how small, in the life of others. For me, the goal and the greatest achievement as an artist, if you want to call it, has never been and never will be to have like super perfect artwork hanging in a gallery. And that's totally not my thing, and that's totally not what would be fulfilling for me. Mm-hmm. For me, it really is if I share something and I get the feedback, or I see that it makes a difference in one way or another. And for me, that's the biggest accomplishment so far, actually.
Mm-hmm. And to me, that sounds like being your authentic self, and then being able to help people through that authenticity.
Yeah.
I
realized so much that actually, again, I always try to just share everything, share myself with all the shadow sides, with like fighting anxiety, burnout, all that stuff. I kept that all locked up and locked away from the public. Mm-hmm. And was really scared whenever I shared like a newsletter or shared a post online where something of that spiritual path that I'm taking, where something of my true self creeped in. I was always like scared to share it, but more and more it showed me that those posts, those things that I shared, they got the most reaction, the most feedback, and it just showed me that there's so many more people like not like me, that sounds, but doing the exact same thing, just having that public face, all smiley, all shiny. And once they realize, hey, this and that person, they're all kind of fighting their own little wars, it also maybe allows or gives them the feeling that they can share from a point of authenticity as well. And yeah, for me, that's yeah, important. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you could change one aspect of our society through your work, what would that be? I
Kind
think
of
you've touched on it
goes,
a little, but sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it kind of goes into same or a very similar direction. Um, for me, I think what is causing all of this unwell-being, all of this stress, anxiety, being exhausted, not being really happy with where you are in life, is a lot of this is due to our society nowadays. It's all like a very, very fast-paced. It's a fast-paced world. You know, we have to provide 100% full force, 24/7. We have to be all in. We don't allow ourselves the time to pause, the time to be still, and that sooner or later, no matter what type of tough cookie you are, sooner or later this will lead to burnout, depression, anxiety, no matter, maybe a mild, or it depends on your personality, but it will always go into that direction, that you really enjoy yourself, enjoy life, enjoy all the little things less and less. And for me, I wish, or one a thing that I wish that would change to would be to that we start again to really live with or learn from the old path, to really live with the cycles of nature, um, because again, like nowadays there's like instant gratification. We want everything and we want it now, immediately, and that's so toxic, I think. um, so yeah, I think nature can teach us so much. And if we look at nature, there's a reason for the fact that nature goes through cycles, that there is this wheel of the year, that there is this up and down, there is this time where you plant the seeds, where it starts to grow, where it's all in full bloom, where it's time for harvest, and then there's this downtime again, this quiet time, this time of stillness to recharge, to reload your batteries, and then to be able to bring yourself all in again. And I think that's one thing we should do more, and we should bring back, to live a little bit more like that, and to let this cycle of nature inspire us.
Yeah. And what inspirational advice would you give someone who's struggling?
Actually, to let go of that pressure. Actually, it kind of all links together. To let go of that pressure to always give full thoughts. You need your time of stillness. You need your time to recharge your batteries. And it's totally, for me, it's totally not selfish to give yourself that time. You don't have to be on and going 24/7, 100%. So that's actually one thing that, or one advice that I would give, to allow yourself this time of stillness. But we always, that kind of also goes together with another thing that I think is really toxic, is like comparing. We are constantly comparing ourselves to others, because I don't know, 100 years back you could only compare your harvest to the harvest of your neighbor, maybe. But nowadays we are like surrounded by so many information 24/7 again, no matter if you're checking the phone, if you're turning on the TV, if you're going on the internet, and we're constantly checking and comparing our lives to the lives of others, and usually we never compare ourselves to the lives of others who are on the same level or who are maybe on a lower level, but we always, no matter where you are, we always tend to compare ourselves to somebody on a, for us, higher level. And that will lead to the fact that we are never happy and satisfied with who we are, with where we are, with what we do, because we always compare there's that saying like, don't compare your middle to somebody else's ending. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really so true. So I think those two things, if we learn that and do this a little less, like giving full force 100% and comparing ourselves to others, just really embracing where you are, who you are, and just starting from where you are. That will make ourselves, I think, so much more, at ease and happy.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. It made me think of that that saying that, which just went right out of my head, but oh my goodness. All right, nope, it didn't make me think of that saying. Oh, it did. It just went right out of my head. But about comparing yourself and how, we never know where people are truly at because they only share their best selves on social media.
And it's just like a little snippet of their life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they could just take a picture and think, oh my God, they're living in a perfect apartment with the perfectly growing plants. They have a green thumb and everything is just perfect. And you don't see the other plants like dying right beside that perfect plant that they maybe just bought for the photo. So you can never look behind that.
Yeah,
perfect shiny.
It's so funny because I have plants behind me and I just took all the dead leaves off right there. I was like, well, we don't want to show that. Oh, maybe I should leave them on next time.
Authenticity.
Yeah. Do you have an inspirational quote that sums up your life journey?
Yes. This is a quote that is really following me for so long now. I think back when I finished school, I heard that for the first time and I just totally loved it. It hit me right into my heart. And it's also, if you visit my website, it's right there on top. And I think I will keep that somewhere throughout my life, because it is not only for the artist in me, but for everything in life. And let me just read that out because I don't want. It's like, use what talent you possess. The woods will be very silent if no birds sang there except those that sang best. It's by Henry van Dyke. And I think that's so true for art, for life, for everything. Just to really jump in and start where you are and who you are and how you are. Maybe even before you are ready, before you feel ready. Because if I look back now, nothing of what I did would have happened if I would have waited until I am 100% ready for it. And I think, again, it's with everything in life, like becoming a parent. We never feel ready. We always kind of put it off, like, I'm not ready. Maybe right now, financial situation, and then that situation, and that we're always waiting for the perfect moment for something, for whatever we plan, for taking that journey, or visiting that destination, for small things like for seeing an old friend again. We kind of always put things off because something's not right and something's not perfect. We're not ready for it. But again, if we wait till we're ready, I think most of the things in our lives would never happen, and we would all, like, what is called, stagnate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that quote really helped me to take the one or the other leap and to just jump and go in, and don't wait till you feel 100% ready, because again, you never will. So
yeah, absolutely. It's so true. It's so true. Because I know there's many things that I really don't feel ready for. And you know what? Just do it. Just do it. And it's amazing what you can accomplish. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, or that maybe you'd like to tell our listeners that we haven't discussed today?
Actually, I think I already like talked so much because I don't know, once I get started, I can go on and talk and talk. Well, actually, just to sum it all up, like be you and start where you are and enjoy the process, no matter if it's like creation or whatever it is that you are doing. And if you haven't done so yet, try to find a creative outlet. Doesn't need to be art. If maybe that's totally not your thing, it could be music. I think we're never too old to start something new. Maybe like playing an instrument, I don't know, dancing, singing, whatever it is, creating something, something that kind of you can add yourself into and that will give it back to you. Yeah, so that's it actually.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
To our listeners, we will see you again next week. And in the meantime, I wish for you amazingly creative days. Have a great week.